Yeah. And we've seen before this Meepo be a really strong ganking hero, like level 4, level 5. Which is like weird to say, right? Like the safe lane Meepo ganking? What do you mean? But
shout out
the
Twin
Twin Gates. Yeah, the Twin Gates just enables Shiro to be able to rotate into this dire safe lane whenever he so chooses with one of his Meepos.
Yeah, I mean, if you just kind of look at the names, it matches up, right? What does Meepo get at level 4? A Twin. What should the Twin use? The Gates. They're named for them, right?
Checks out.
Yeah, checks out. It was all part of the plan. Icefrog gave us a little hint. The Meepo players latched on. Starting things out here, LGD, of course, I think to everybody, based on, you know, just knowledge of the names, you know, being familiar with the players and the brand, of course, one of the big giants in Chinese Dota, I think there's a certain expectation that LGD are going to be able to walk away with this one. True enough, Crash, you said as well, there's a chance that this just becomes a complete stomp, but I want to believe, right? I want to believe this Morphling pick, sure, it's up against a counter. Do you think it can stand its ground against Doom, Puck, and Meepo with the help that it has?
I don't know, right? Keep in mind, this is Disperser Meepo. You're already dealing with the Doom, and you've got an instant Hex in the form of Lion on top of it. It's going to be a game for once.
Yeah, I mean, once is no stranger to hard games, right? I think the story with this particular player is that, especially earlier on in, I guess in the later parts of last year, he kind of got replaced in his team, Team Bright, and since then, it's kind of felt like he's had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Some of the performances, it reminds me of somebody who kind of feels like, okay, I need to do everything myself, or I need to show them why I can carry the game kind of situation. So, I mean, of course, Dota isn't a 5v1 game for the most part, unless you're playing solo queue, you know, and everyone's real rough. But I think, you know, with this supporting cast, that's kind of where it's going to have to come in. You can't fully rely on the Morphling to 1v5 outplay. That's not the game for it. It has to be crazy Torrent Storms, has to be a pinpoint perfect initiation from the Centaur Wall Runner. And yeah, that's kind of what I'll be looking at.
And you know, different player this time around, but we've been unimpressed by the Centaurs in the past coming up from Go Along. And it's going to be up to Jian Yu to really step up and show us what's what.
Yeah, I think one thing I'm particularly expecting from Shen Yu is just a bit of that insider knowledge. Sure, the LGD lineup has changed quite significantly from when he was last on it, but at the same time, just some of those overarching game ideas that Xiao 8 brings to the table that he mandates for his team. That's something that Shen Yu will be privy to. I'm looking specifically on the map for his pings, for the directions that he draws, because he's the one, the onus is on him to set up some of these fights and, you know, get that early blink, start stomping away, maybe get these early pickoffs and whatnot. So we'll have to keep an eye out for what he thinks is important here in the first few sort of jumps. And you know, we've seen some Centaurs pivot in terms of build. I mean, Crash, you've been talking non-stop about it. It's all about the Veil this patch. Do you think this is a Veil game for him? Can he afford that intermediate item, or is it blink all the way?
I think it depends on how the lane goes for Centaur. We've already talked about how the Veil of Discord is going to amplify the Rubik, the Morphling. Absolutely everyone on the side of Go Along gets amplified by the Veil of Discord. So yeah. I'm surprised to see the Veil first. It also gives you the survivability in this really awkward lane. The Nature's Prophet Meepo isn't the scariest lane when you think about it, but they do still have kill potential if you think you're too safe. Like if you get complacent in lane, that's when all of a sudden the Nature's Prophet Meepo has some kill potential on you.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about the Meepo using the Twin Gates. I mean, PYW can just rock down there, throw 2 disables out, and someone's going to die. So, I mean, as long as New is feeling a bit safer, and sure enough, you know, he's doing pretty well in terms of the last hits already in this top side. 12-2, they carve in a really nice place for himself, and that's kind of the issue. This Doom has just become such a menace. Now that you can get that Veil of Discord, amping up all the Scorched Earth damage, and basically not just allowing him to farm well, allows you to threaten other heroes, but shows up one of his main weaknesses, which is low armor, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's completely rectified from the Shiva, the Veil, let alone the Shivas, right? Like, and now all of a sudden you've got a Doom who is incredibly resilient to physical damage.
Yeah. And
so you have to rely on magical damage, and he's a tanky boy. He's not going to get burst down from full to 0. I mean, he can, but not likely unless you've got like a Lion Lina.
Yeah.
And the side of Go Along, they really don't scream a full to 0 lineup for me, right? It's going to be a slow burn when these team fights come up.
Yeah, I mean, in the early stage of the game, maybe first 5 minutes, maybe first 10 minutes even, they can rely on a powered up Hoof Stomp Double Edge and maybe a Rubik Fade Bolt to finish off some of the squishier targets. But you know New, his whole game is just going to be tanking up to try and take these extended engagements, stand his ground, put the Duma onto the Morphling, and just apply that pressure. Now, one thing we didn't talk about just yet is the interaction between these two offlaners, right? Historically speaking, that's kind of why you pick heroes like Darkseer or the Centaur against Doom. Because sure, you get doomed and then you just run away, but LGD, they have a lot of different tools to keep you in place apart from just, you know, the Doom himself.
Yeah, for sure, right? You paired up with the Dream Coil. Hell, even like Sprout, Net, these lesser disables. You know, these roots, these annoying little trees. Speaking of annoying little trees.
Wow. Shen Yu just kills off his former captain there. No mercy whatsoever. Finding the Nature's Prophet. This is a hero that we constantly laud for being very efficient when it comes to trading. I guess just tanked a bit too much magic damage.
And it's already coming into play, the magic damage from Go Along. I wonder if we're going to see some rotations coming in from Shiro into this top lane. Because it's not the easiest lane to kill, but I feel like with Lion, you do definitely have the kill potential on once.
Yeah. Well, it kind of feels a bit awkward because right now Neo doesn't actually contribute much other than damage that the Morphling can just kind of work through. And Outsider, he's going to be a big problem, right? They don't really have any burst. And oh, Shiro dropping a little low there. Now it's his turn to cop some magic damage. He's to burrow his way out of that sticky situation. And yeah, Shen Yu and Imitator, they're starting to become a little bit of a problem. The Meepo can't actually stand his ground in the lane. Look at how aggressive Shen Yu is playing. Just walking through, knows that the Meepo has to take the long path back to the middle of the lane. Losing out on quite a bit of EXP and gold there as the creep wave crashes into his tower.
He's pretty much going to miss this whole creep wave, and it's not like completely devastating, but Meepo's already not having the best lane. But to be fair, neither is the Morphling.
I mean, both these carries, they are, funnily enough, neck and neck still, like 19 and 19, and really just being pressured out by these offlaners. Okay, so we have a relatively quiet early game apart from that just kind of freak kill on the Nature's Prophet randomly in the jungle. What exactly do you think both these sides are waiting for to be the next immediate action point?
It's got to be these level 6 coming out from these mid laners.
Okay.
I think they could make some sort of rotation with Shiro right now that he's level 4 up into this top lane, but they might not even need it.
Yeah. While you smile, making use of the natural rotation tool that he has in the TP just to grab up here and kill off the Treant Protector. I mean, all you really need is a stun, and even though the Treant Protector can walk through your Sprout, if you're starting to get damaged and stuff, suddenly the tree walking just no longer works, right? And your friends turn against you, which is very, very sad.
Yeah. Alright, DD time on Emo. I wonder if they're going to make any sort of aggressive moves with this. I wouldn't hate to see something. I'd love to see a first Dream Coil be successful.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to rotate your supports in, you might as well be the one to rotate.
Ooh.
The question is, what do you do? Gank the Morphling lane or gank the Centaur lane? I feel like those are both like really hard kills.
There's kind of an opportunity here because I'm not sure if they saw the Treant Protector TP mid. And yeah, I mean, whether or not they know he's there, they're just gonna run down once on this top side. I think not respecting the fact that he doesn't really have backup in the immediate area and just gets a bit too comfortable up there. Just ends up dying for what feels like free. New made that look so easy. And now another creep wave loss. This Morphling, he is falling a little bit behind here.
Yeah, what was literally just neck and neck between the Meepo all of a sudden is not spiraling out of control by any means, but is starting to rear its ugly head where Meepo is going to be pulling ahead in this early game just because of his natural farming ability, where Morphling doesn't quite have that. Obviously, he can get something like a Vlad's, the Morbid Mass, to rotate back into the jungle and start farming, but it's not the easiest hero to jungle on until you get more levels or at least an item to help you jungle.
I guess it also just doesn't feel good, right? Because you want to hit a certain breakpoint where you're basically maxed out edgy, you're hitting creeps with a decent attack speed and whatnot, and it just feels uncomfortable as well because I think Wymo on this mid Kanka, we were expecting, I guess, a lot more bullying of the park, but take a look at the net worth and you'll see that Emo is sitting so comfortably second to the top, which you know, of course, is being eclipsed by Doom, who just has that natural farming mechanic. Done very well for himself. Rotation up to the top side though, looking to put a dent into his progression. And sure enough, once is able to claim it. Much needed for this Morphling.
Beautiful gank from Wymo. That's exactly what I wanted to see coming out from this Kunkka. Emo, a little bit slow to make any sort of rotations in this mid lane still. But with that shield rune, he's going to start making his way up top.
I'm gonna go on the Wymo here, but this is a very, very tanky Kunkka. In comes Why You Smile to add in some of that damage. Outsider is here though to back up his Kunkka, but no real way of healing. Stampede comes through as well, and he's trying to run. The little fish that could escapes just with a sliver of HP, and now PYW's in trouble. They've already lost the Nature's Prophet, and Wymo now bottling up. He is out of danger's way. But PYW, all you can do is buy a little bit of time. Here comes the Vines, here comes the Torrent. He'll dodge it out, but he just still gets sliced down. And Wymo walks away with that, with 2 essentially free delivery support kills right on his platter.
I don't want to say another great rotation from Wymo, because that wasn't. There was a rotation from Emo that amounts to nothing. Your first coil has been used, and it's all for naught. You get absolutely nothing out of it, and now you're smoke ganking without coil? It's a very awkward rotation for this puck.
I mean, they're trying to link it up with the Doom timing, right? He has hit that level 6, and if it once pops his face out, he's gonna be in a lot of trouble. Let's see whether he ends up sort of making that decision. He will show himself under the tower, though. The setup is ready, but immediately starting the strength morph already. In comes the Doom, and no help on the horizon. Outsider is just a bit too far away. They even bring in the Meepo for good measure. They want to pressure this top side. Oh, they spot out the Treant as well. Dreamcore comes off cooldown. Bonus kill for them to claim. And they'll find it. Start getting some of those earned charges on While You Smile. Will be very important against these tanky heroes and go along later on. A double kill for Emo. Just when we were talking about him not hitting any satisfactory rotations, he finds one in the top side.
And that's just the power of Doom, right? It doesn't matter if Morphling strength shifting. He can't heal.
Absolutely not. And the whole time, Shiro just farming away. He's not doing as well on the net worth as I would have expected, but I guess he's just kind of playing conservatively in lieu of the LGD focus on the top and mid lane.
Yeah, he's a little scared of any sort of gank, and still, you've got to respect the Centaur now that he has Veil. The Centaur Rubik damage is quite a bit, especially when Imitator is able to just steal Poof and add that damage on top of everything. It's just a lot to deal with.
Yeah. A lot of decent spells for Imitator to steal between everything the Lion has, maybe the Dream Coil, even the Doom if he's lucky, or, you know, quick on his fingers. Here comes Shiro, looking for an angle. Wymo here to help with the bow, but chooses to target it onto New instead. Looks like they want to take the Doom down first, and they should be successful in doing so. It's a big one though, and he's going to be able to walk away. Are you kidding me? Shiro poofs out of trouble. Shen Yu hot on his heels though. Surely the Meepo can't get out of this one. Turns around for one more net. Why You Smile, ready to spot him on the high ground, but Imitator stealing that Sprout, holds them in place for the perfect stomp into the perfect setup with the Torrent. Why You Smile and Shiro will go down. They trade out Imitator for it. It's a nice call from Emo as a response, but do you have the damage? It's just enough. PYW claims a double kill with the Earth Spike, trading 2 for 2.
I think that still favors Go Along, right? Getting Meepo off the map, making space for once. And we see it in the gold there as well. It slightly favors Go Along. And in these trades where you're behind on your Morphling, any sort of space you can make for him right now is very, very good. Unfortunately, you lose your Kunkka, but he's weirdly in a position where he could die once.
Yeah.
Right? He's doing fine on the net worth. Right? It's not like Kunkka needs these immediate small items to start making moves and making rotations, right? He's more of a hero that saves up for a little bit of a bigger item before he, you know, like whether it be the Blade Mail, the Ags, the Shard, whatever you're getting first.
Yeah.
It costs a little bit of gold, right? There's no smaller items. There's no like Chainmail. Well, there is if you're buying Blade Mail. But there's no like Chainmail, Blitz Knuckle thing that like Puck builds into Witchblade.
Yeah. And he has it right now, right? Emo able to apply so much more damage to some of these targets that he's punching away at. And true enough, the Kunkka is eyeing up that immediate Aghanim Scepter rush. So gonna try and emphasize on a bit more of the control in the team fight with that Torrent Storm that we've seen be such an annoying tool for a a lot of these heroes, especially the Meepo, to deal with. The biggest problem is you can't really account for where the torrents are coming out. There's no real visual indicator until it's too late. Nemo really has to watch his step, but right now it's once. Another full-on focus onto him. Doom out. He doesn't stand a chance. It's too easy. Emo on a killing spree. They found Outsider again. A 2-for-1 special seems to be the LGD standard at this point. Find the train in the tree line. PYW grabs that kill. And yeah, they just continue to keep the kill train going. 8-6 now with a 2k gold lead, buying a little bit more space for Shiro to work.
The only problem I have with this Ags rush on Wymo is that he's got a lot of dead net worth until he finishes up that Aghanim Scepter. And that is a lot of dead net worth. That is a lot of net worth that does nothing for you.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue right now. And it's funny that it almost feels like Shiro is kind of playing second fiddle to New and Emo right now. But it really is going to be reliant on New and Emo to make the action happen on the map. Speaking of action, Shen Yu set a fresh blink dagger, I see. Yep. Wants to reveal it in the mid lane. Straight in onto Shiro. Poor thing, this Meepo. Everywhere you look, he's just getting focused down. Both these teams doing a stellar job at really hampering the opposing carry. I still can't really tell who this favors though, because at the end of the day, the Meepo, he can explode in a big way, while the Morphling is still kind of focusing on, you know, defensive items like the first item Lincolns.
Yeah, right now Morphling's priority is staying alive, while Shiro's priority is accumulating net worth, right? Getting that Diffusal Blade or whatever he's choosing to pick up first. I would assume it'd be the Diffusal Blade. But whatever item it is, right? It's right now your priority to just get an item, get your damage item. It's actually straight eggs. That's insane.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've seen, but I've also seen a lot of Meepos prioritize this Diffusal Blade, and maybe you're just thinking Morphling isn't really a problem right now, right? That's what Doom is for. You don't got to deal with the Morphling with the Diffusal Blade.
Yeah,
it's just a non-factor right now. He's just so far behind, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it kind of feels like I can get where Shiro is coming from, right? So far, he's been magic bursted down, and he's just thinking, okay, if I can just amass such a high HP pool that these AoE effects don't really matter to me, and I'm just tanking through all of it while my team cleans them up, then yeah, I'll be the frontliner. Yeah, I'll be the guy who soaks the damage. It's all chill, right? He doesn't, you know, you get a Diffusal, it's a decent amount of stats, sure, but how likely are you to be punching people in the team fights where there's so much AoE control? It's a little bit hard to say, and I think that's kind of where he's coming from.
Yeah, I think the Disperser is still going to do him wonders, right? You get nature's, or you get ulted by Treant, and all of a sudden you're dispersing yourself, and it doesn't, like, it literally doesn't matter. Yeah. You and your whole team are running away from the root at max movement speed. Like, who cares? So I'd be very surprised to not see it picked up this game, but I like this Ag Scepter first item quite a bit for Shiro. Yeah. It's going to give him the survival, like you said, the survivability that he needs from all this magic burst damage coming up from Go Along.
We'll have to see how that exactly pans out, yeah. Right in time with the Conquest 1 as well, so all the AoE control in the world, you can tell Go Along probably want to try and start a fight here. They found PYW venturing up by himself. Emo will offer himself up to try and disjoint the action, but PYW will give over that killing spree streak to Imitator, sorry. So look for more.
That was like a crazy play from PYW. I had no idea what he was doing there.
I almost felt like he didn't expect them there. He kind of like, he was angling for one of them and probably just didn't mentally register that other people might be around the area, because it kind of feels like they fogged him and caught him by surprise there.
Yeah, the trees are not your friend when there's a tree protector on the enemy team.
Yeah. Maybe he had a false idea. Sure, Nature's Prophet was telling him something else, you know. It's all good, you know, these guys, they're my
yeah, I control the trees.
They're my homies. And then the literal tree just starts beating your ass. But speaking of that, Outsider once again found in the tree line. I guess the trees aren't anybody's friend at this point. Gonna Pavis himself up just to buy a little bit of time, but realistically speaking, there's nothing he can do. Emo works him down with the Witchblade. And now it seems like after that kind of aggressive walkout from PYW, they're making a committed sort of firm stance in this upper upper dire jungle area. PYW planting some wards here, potentially for some future aggressive moves.
Speaking of aggressive moves, look at this smoke coming out from Go Along. Looking for support, and they're going to find PYW.
A bit late on the reaction there. I think he must have been looking somewhere else, because Shen Yu's smoke actually broke for a good 1.5 seconds before he decided to make that commitment. And Lion was just kind of caught with his pants down staring at it. Gotta watch out for the stolen Hex, even though it's level 1. Might be able to catch Emo by surprise. That's the one that's eluded them so far. Love to get that kill in the puck.
Forget about the puck. Right now, they've got their sights set on this Doom new. In some pretty big trouble here if he doesn't get some TP rotations in from his team.
Yeah, and really, even if you TP rotation in, where are you going to come from? You don't stand a chance.
That's true.
5 members of Go Along just converge. It's a very swiftly executed move, and right now, they're playing the map a whole lot better, and that's crazy to say when you think about a team that has a Meepo, Puck, and a Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, you'd think Meepo would, I mean, in most cases, spread out, farm as much as he can in different places, but Shiro, because of this aggression from Golong, he's forced to kind of clump his Meepos together and not spread them out too much just in case one of them catches a stray.
Yeah, this kind of feels like the timing though, right, for Go Along. This is the Hex, the pullback. Is there any follow-up? None to be found. I was so scared for Emo's life there for a moment, but he still had an Invis rune in the back pocket. And honestly, quite a few defensive tools, minor ones, sure, but a decently sized one, as well as infused raindrops just to block some of that burst coming through. He is deceptively tanky. Somehow, while we were just quietly watching the game unfold, the Centaur War Runner has actually made it to the top of the network. Shen Yu has been doing an excellent job.
Yeah, to be top against the Doom is an incredible feat, especially as a Centaur War Runner, where you don't think of Centaur for his farming prowess, but with the Shivas, with the Blink, he's able to make his way between these camps, between these lanes, between these kills quite swiftly, and he's pretty much controlled this entire game off the back of the Centaur War Runner.
Yeah. The problem with Centaur War Runner is that later in the game, I mean, I'm sure New himself on LGD has felt this frustration, especially when we saw standout performances from him. It always feels like there's only so much you can do on the Centaur, right? You jump in, the initiation, maybe a Magic Burst is significant. I have to hold that thought. Speaking of Magic Burst, BYW evaporates. It's a nice 3-man Dream Coil, but no follow-up anywhere at all. You can't really TP a Prophet into this lineup anymore, and Meepo and Doom, they aren't really connected to the rest of the squad. LGD in the past 5 minutes, it's felt a little bit messy. Maybe they're waiting for something, but it's clear that they don't want any part of any sort of move.
No, and I wonder what exactly it is they're waiting for. It's got to be News BKB. Maybe, just maybe, you can hold off until this Disperser comes online for Meepo. That's a bit of gold away still. And right now, Golong, they might have their eyes set on Roshan.
Yeah, I mean, they can just stroll right in there. There isn't really much that the side of LGD can do, especially if they don't have any vision set up prior. But as I say that, there is a nice ward right outside that small camp, spotting out Imitator. Should have an idea that this is happening because nobody is showing up anywhere. And they actually identify that there might be a ward in that area. It's a beautifully placed sentry from Imitator to clear out that vision. And yeah, like you mentioned, should be an easy Roche. It doesn't seem like LGD are in the position or fast enough to contest anyway, and that's going to be additional insurance either for YMO or for Once to take the fight a bit more liberally.
They're bringing the heroes in, but it might be too little too late, and if LGD want to choose to take a fight with this Aegis, it's going to be a disaster.
I can't see any way this pans out for them, especially if you're trying to doom the... Hold on! Once! That is not what you want, that you might just get punished for. He's trying desperately to run away, but he has nowhere to go, tries to fog him. Doom comes out. Where is your Aegis? Why have you punched it down into the ground? What's going on, brother? You kill up while you smile, but that is a pause 5 Nature's Prophet. That is not what Go Along wanted. It must have been a misclick or something. It felt like the rest of the squad was just as stunned as him.
That
might have just lost...
It's got to be some sort of big miscommunication coming out from Go Along, because there's no way they just do that without talking, right? I mean, maybe that's the miscommunication, that they did it without talking, right? They smoked up on 3 of their heroes, they went through the portal, and they left poor Morphling without the Aegis alone.
I think it kind of, at that point, they were just like, yeah, screw this guy, he denied the Aegis, he doesn't deserve our... He doesn't deserve our sympathy, but I think it must have been one of those situations where it wasn't exactly clear who would be taking the Aegis. Maybe everyone just assumed that would be the case, and the Morphling was probably kicking the ground to try and quickly do Roche as... You know, it's a habit, you know? It's kind of like centering your camera on your hero sometimes, and it's unfortunate that that happens, especially at this extremely important juncture. We're talking about how important it is for this Morphling to have that second life, and that's why he's building up towards the Linkins and subsequently any sort of dispel or defensive tool to just help him stay alive. It's a Manta next, but yeah, just denying that Aegis there's such a hit scratcher.
It had to have been a mistake, obviously. Well,
Yeah.
obviously it was a mistake, right? There's no way you feel comfortable enough in this game against a team like LGD to do something like that.
Yeah.
There is no chance in hell.
Yeah. And I think, okay, let's try and put ourselves in Go Along shoes, right? How and where do we move on from this? Because at this point in time, yes, your Centaur's doing very well in terms of the net worth, but your Morphling's still trailing behind. Are we looking for fights here? Are we still trying to make things happen on the map now that you don't really have the Aegis? What do you think is the game plan, and how do you think Go Along need to sort of move ahead?
I mean, Go Along, they're definitely on the back foot now, which means they have to respect LGD. They have to look for pickoffs around the map, whether it be on these supports, on these cores, outsider who can't afford to get caught out, because one too many kills on these supports from Go Along go a very long way for LGD, just because of how far ahead they are. All of a sudden, you lose your Treant, you lose your Rubik, and you don't have that team fight potential anymore with the Treant. Those spell steals, the magic damage with the Rubik, and there we go.
Easy setup, just straight in, find them right outside their tier 1. They make it look so easy. Mop up the tier 1 tower, why don't you at the same time disrupt, sorry, not disruptor, the disperser being shown on display here, but realistically speaking, even if you didn't have it, it would have still been the same 2 kills. The setup was perfect from LGD, and now they're storming forward. Go Along. I gotta say, it kind of feels like that Aegis deny deflated them a little bit, because suddenly all that intent and all that direction that they had in the game so far, it's their plan is derailed, and now Meeple's knocking on your front door.
Alright.
Jumping in, immediate hex. PYW had his finger on the money, but that's the BKB reveal from Shen Yu. What else can you find? You've committed quite a bit on Go Along, and you need to at least try and get this Doom kill, but he's starting to phase boots away, turn around with the net, hold the chasers in place, and Go Along. They can't find a single one of LGD to get away scot-free.
That feels so bad. They might be able to find no, Prophet's gone from top. Nope, he's out of there. So they're not even going to find the Prophet top. This, I mean, you got to go again if you're Go Along. You still have your ultimates up, everything but Stampede. Right now, there's no Doom for a little bit longer. There's no Finger of Death. You have a little bit of a window to make some sort of move on Go Along, even if it's just finding PYW. I mean, ideally, you're finding Shiro here farming the Ancients, but even if it's PYW, you're fine with that.
Oh, Shiro will be a great target. He needs to watch himself. Putting the high ground vision down, they have the range for it. X marks him as well, but he is able to Mega Meepo. Beautiful setup. Once again, Shen Yu with a double stomp, but that's the dig. They still toss him up to the sky though, and the Meepo doesn't stand a chance against the rampant AoE control. That's exactly what Go Along needed, and they punched right back. It is a 4K gold lead, but they're still keeping things even.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And they got to do that 1, 2, maybe 3 more times until they're probably feeling the confidence they need to start making more like super aggressive, pushing objectives kind of plays. But this is a good step forward. This is a good first step to gaining the confidence to get back into this game after you do something crazy like denying an Aegis.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the scary part about this game. And I think what's even stranger is if you look, I think for us, based on our assessment and how we felt, and us just watching the game so far, it felt like there was this small pocket where Go Along were finally starting to hit their stride, right? Shen Yu had his blink timing, they were chaining out a couple of nice kills, they were getting things done on the map. But realistically speaking, if you look at the graph, all along, it's largely been in LGD's favor. They've been routinely out-farming, and it's just by product of Prophet as well, right? Someone who can just consistently TP all over the map. Emo has played a rather individualistic game, focusing fully on pushing these side lanes, always just, you know, focusing on his own farm. He has, what, 250 last hits, and he hasn't even died just yet. So that has paid dividends for them, still ramping up and Go Along. It kind of feels like they're reliant on this 5-on-5 team fight that LGD aren't really giving them right now.
No, they're not willing to, right? LGD, they're going to constantly be splitting the map with their Meepo, with their Prophet, and right now, if you're out farming the enemy, there's no reason to risk taking a fight against these big AoE control team fight ultimates from Go Along. It's just not worth the risk without your BKBs,
Yeah.
without your protection items. Like a blink on the Meepo, you've got the blink, you've got the BKBs on Doom now, as well as the shard on Lion. You have defensive capabilities.
Oh, straight in onto once. They jump forward, but PYW a little bit slow. It's not even going to matter. They're winding up the Doom. They find the real target, and even in the face of the Stampede, you're not going anywhere. It's too much damage, and the Morphling will take out another set of 2. It's been the Morphling and the Treant Protector over and over, found out all by themselves. Excellently executed by the side of LGD. Wymo will actually throw a boat out as a defensive measure, but Emo just kind of watches it go by.
It's a farming boat. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
It's a fishing boat.
I've never, I've never farmed a boat before. That's not my lifestyle, unfortunately. Wymo trying to clear the creep wave, doesn't want to get caught out. And it just feels like such a steep mountain to climb, because at the end of the day, we've been talking about the ebb and flow of this game so far, but you're still staring down a Meepo as a Morphling. That is never going to be a good matchup.
No, you have a lot to deal with this. More talked about how hard of a Morphling game it is, but just to reiterate that, right, you're dealing with Puck, Meepo, Doom. A lot of these heroes that have the control have the ability to get rid of Morphling before he gets a good chance to get his Agi shift or this strength shift off. Lion is another one as well.
Yeah, it's as we get later and later into this game, it feels like LGD, they're going to scale very nicely. Every single one of their heroes has late game applications. You could argue that Prophet to a certain extent takes a bit more time to ramp up, but you can see in terms of the net worth that Wymo on the Kunkka, it's been a very quiet game for him. This pick that was supposed to be highly effective in the mid lane. 1 or 2 decent rotations early on, but hasn't really translated to anything else. They've pigeonholed him into just being a bit more of the AoE control, but at this point in time, it feels like they don't have enough damage to actually threaten the cause on the side of LGD.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I said you've got to look for these pickoffs on the supports, on these Nature's Prophets, who's going to be constantly making aggressive TPs around the map, right? You have to find something that you can actually achieve, like something you can get, because the Meepo kill is very hard. You know they're going to rotate heroes in if you go on Shiro, wherever he is, especially under this tier 2 tower. Yeah. You know they're going to rotate people to save New. Are they going to rotate people to save PYW? Maybe, probably not, though.
No, they couldn't care less. PYW, you know, he's it's really just Emo, right? That's kind of the big problem. They haven't been able to touch this puck at all, and now with this second Roshan now spawning, both teams smoking around the area to try and set vision up. It's a nicely placed cliff ward right outside of that Twin Gates area between the tier 2 tower on the Radiant side and the bot side. It should spot any move coming. But the fact that they smoke past it and actually are going for a wraparound might catch Go Along by surprise. Not expecting this angle. Emo just gonna run forward, instantly finish off Imitator. That Rubik doesn't stand a chance and doesn't have buyback. Already a 4v5 situation. And now you gotta be so worried on Go Along. You're thinking about dealing with the Doom and the Finger of Death. 2 spells that can just single out a target and eliminate them in an instant. This can't be a fight you're comfortable with taking here.
And all the while, why you smile? He's got this Aghanim Scepter, he's got this push potential coming out from the Nature's Prophet. He's going to be super duper annoying.
Oh, here comes Emo, forcing the BKB out from once. This is a very awkward position. They're trying to focus down Neo, and they'll be successful in doing so immediately with the buyback, though. PYW looking mixed to fall as well, turns around the Hex, but that's BKB. Shen Yu now holding his ground while Wymo starts popping up the Torrents thanks to the Aghanim Scepter. They're holding the Mega Meepo in place, but he's not taking any damage. Everyone is still standing strong, standing fit. Turn around with the Doom on the Morphling. He doesn't stand a chance. The chase down is there as Emo remains untouched. Wicked sick with a monster kill streak right now. The instant buyback Doom serves them well as they'll be able to claim the second Roche of the game.
And this is the scary, the weird thing about Roshan now is that he is mostly in this Radiant part of the map, right? Roshan is usually taken between anywhere from the 20 to 25 minute mark the first time. And then coming to the 8th 11 mark, he's back on Radiant, which means Roshan banner, but it also means LGD have the advantage. If you lose someone like New, you can just teleport them back in.
Yeah, Emo. I mean, you know this man is feeling himself, and if we've known and found out anything about this player in the past, when he's feeling himself, you better start praying. You better start praying because he will start all...
is under attack.
And I think it's probably safe to say, for people who haven't been following Go Along or, you know, Chinese Dota, they just hear LGD and they can be an easy game. But Go Along, they've been putting up a good fight, and they still have a good fight potential, right? They have these big AoE team fights. They have the potential to take this game still. It's going to be a hard fight for sure, but the potential is absolutely there.
Look, I don't know what you're on, Crash, but I still am struggling to see a world where they actually kill Shiro. Unless you're telling me that he gets caught out inside the defender's gate area where his team has nothing they can do but look at him outside as if you're visiting a prisoner in jail. And especially with this Aegis, I mean, killing him the first time was already so tricky with all the digs and whatnot, of Emo hunting down backliners like an absolute assassin. He doesn't even need the help of the Nature's Prophet, he's just getting these for free with the Parasma.
It's so much damage.
This guy.
Puck has so much. Look how much int Puck has right now.
He's so smart.
Right, that is one time your your intelligence.
Yeah.
For what, 6 seconds or something on Parasma? 5 seconds? I can't remember exactly how much it is, but it's quite a bit. Yeah, 4 seconds even.
You just did a countdown.
Yeah. It's a lot of damage, especially on this high-end hero like Emo on this Puck.
Yeah, and we're just talking about...
very scary.
Dude, that's literally just the poison damage. What about the right-click damage that he's getting from being
exactly.
an in-hero with stats? Like, come on. This guy is absolutely trucking here in a blink of an eye, 15k gold lead. Even though the kill score is relatively even, we know, I mean, just watching this game, that LGD, it feels like they've been in the driver's seat for most of it. Oh, even stopping the TP back. Oh no, Shen Yu in a little bit of trouble. They'll even commit the doom for this poor Centaur War Runner. Finger him down. PYW adding a stack to his collection. Now without the Centaur for 70 seconds.
Yourself,
yeah, sorry.
Hey, we don't care about the Morphling anymore. That showed it right there.
Yeah.
You're dooming the Centaur instead of the Morphling. We don't care about Morphling anymore. He is a non-factor. He doesn't even have his Conda yet.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because when you think about who's going to bring this team fight back for Go Along, it starts with a Centaur Hoofstorm, it starts with a YMO setup. Any one of these supporting sort of core members, if they get taken out, the Morphling, he can't afford to waveform in. His BKB is down to sort of the lower durations at this point, and he's not going to be able to stand his ground and actually deliver the damage that's necessary to take down the Meepo without any sort of disable from his backliners. As this has turned into such an uncomfortable situation. You're still trying to work your way towards the Kanda, but that feels like a far reach away for once.
And I don't even know if it does anything, really.
Yeah,
like,
that's kind of where I'm
what,
at.
you're going to be able to burst down the Lion? Okay.
Yeah, okay. Oh, PYW
like,
is
it's
dead,
something
I guess.
for sure.
Then he buys back. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he's going to be going for this Aeon disc on PYW as well, so all of a sudden you can't blow up this Lion.
I mean, all these sort of combo breaker tools are going to be so important for LGD, especially when Go Along. They're hinging their bets so hard on just instantly blowing someone up. And to be fair, in that Roche fight, they did a pretty good job at essentially singling out New and killing him off before he could pop the Doom out. Oh no, YMO, has he been found? Forced to pop the BKB, has a TP available.
What a sprout.
Just has to commit it, but it's too much damage. You can't, yeah, that's 5 Meepos. That guy is gonna rip you asunder. Disperser, Skadi complete. 35 seconds left on this Aegis, but he doesn't care. He's gonna start beating on your racks in your tower. Now there is a buyback for the Kunkka. He can come back into the fray and potentially set up the team fight that Go Along have been hoping for what feels like the past 20 minutes. But it doesn't look very hopeful.
A little bit of play from a Centaur, a little bit of cheeky hoof stomp action, but that's not going to save your racks.
So the cool interaction is that each Meepo counts as an intended hero, so every time you'll see it, as soon as he double edges all of them, he just gets max stacks of his shard. But yeah, easy pickings for the side of LGD. I mean, Emo will even come in for good measure, and take a look at that, the Rubik down to like what? Oh my goodness, what feels like 2/5 of his HP remaining. That is an uncomfortable feeling.
There was part of me that thought Rubik was just going to die.
I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead, I'll be honest. There's no like...
You know, continuing to be... Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
This is so fun to watch.
Dude, the thing is, he's... Like, the annoying thing about Parasma is that apart from a small little glow and like a small little dripping goop, there isn't really any visual indicator to show that you're like poisoned, right? You know, like Venomancer or like Viper, you kind of like just get completely gooped up in green gunk, and you're like, okay, it kind of still feels like I'm under that effect. It's so slow and insidious when the puck just auto attacks you and suddenly you're like ticking out. It's the strangest thing.
Yeah.
It is so strange. But now they go along. I think whether it's desperation, whether it's one final hurrah, they're trying to look for somebody, and oh, Emo with a brilliant pick, but he spots them first! Jumps straight into 4, no fear, and they just evaporate on the Treant Protector, where he's trying to go on the Morphling. I don't even know where he disappeared. They must have waveformed away, surviving for now as once. Still watching out for the Doom New, able to break that Lincoln Sphere. They've already taken down the Kunkka. And this Morphling, he just can't heal, gets run down, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the G's drop because go along. There you have it. There's not much you can do. It's just a perfect sort of counter pick at every interval, it feels like. And LGD just completely crushed them underfoot.
I think for how hard they got out-drafted, and this is me hoping and coping, really.
Okay.
I think for how hard Go Along got out-drafted from the Doom